July 20, 1969. A man in a white spacesuit steps off a ladder and onto the surface of the moon. 600 million people watch it happen live. It is the most watched moment in human history. So, was it real? Or was every single one of those people watching the greatest illusion ever staged? The conspiracy theory goes like this. NASA couldn't actually get humans to the moon. The Van Allen radiation belts would have killed them. The technology simply wasn't there. So the whole thing, the launches, the moonwalks, the splashdowns, was faked on a Hollywood soundstage, possibly with Stanley Kubrick behind the camera. The flag waves in a vacuum. There are no stars in the photos. The shadows look wrong. Something millions of people believe just doesn't add up. The modern version of this theory was born in 1976, 7 years after the landing, when a man named Bill Kaysing self-published a book called We Never Went to the Moon. Kaysing had once worked for Rocketdyne, a rocket engine contractor, but he had no engineering credentials, and he'd left the company in 1963, 6 full years before Apollo 11. Then in 1978, Hollywood released Capricorn 1, a thriller about a faked Mars landing. And in 2002, a deliberately satirical French mockumentary called Dark Side of the Moon showed actors pretending to confess that Kubrick had staged the footage. Many viewers had no idea it was fiction. That film is still circulating on social media today, passed off as real evidence. And here's the uncomfortable reality. Doubt is growing. In 1999, a Gallup poll found 6% of Americans disbelieved the moon landing. By 2019, YouGov put that figure at 10% of Americans and 16% of British adults. More evidence exists now than at any point in history, and more people doubt. So let's actually look at that evidence. Here is the single most powerful argument that the moon landing was real, and it doesn't come from NASA. During the space race, the Soviet Union was America's most dangerous rival. They had their own moon program, their own deep space radar, and every geopolitical reason on Earth to expose an American fraud. Think about what that would have meant in the Cold War. Proving the United States faked the moon landing would have been the most devastating propaganda victory in history, handed to them on a platter. So what did the Soviets do when Apollo 11 launched? They tracked it, independently, with their own radar. And when it landed, they said nothing. No accusation, no counterclaim. Soviet scientists privately acknowledged the American achievement. They had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to blow this wide open. And they stayed silent. That silence is the loudest thing in this entire story. Then there are the rocks. Apollo missions returned 382 kilograms, that's 842 pounds, of lunar material across 6 missions. Scientists in over 70 countries have studied them, including Soviet scientists, given samples under Cold War détente. And every geologist found the same thing. Moon rocks are unlike anything on Earth. No water-bearing minerals. Glassy micrometeorite impact beads that can only form in a vacuum. An isotopic signature with no match anywhere in Earth's crust, or in any known meteorite. The Soviet Union's own robotic Luna missions independently collected lunar samples. And they matched Apollo's results exactly. You cannot fake 382 kilograms of material that agrees with independent geological analysis from your sworn enemy. And there is hardware sitting on the moon right now that you can ping with a laser. Apollo astronauts planted retroreflector arrays, precision mirror assemblies, during 3 missions. Observatories around the world still bounce lasers off them today. Not NASA observatories. Independent ones. The Apache Point Observatory in New Mexico. The Observatoire de la Côte d'Azur in France. Every single time they fire, they get a return signal. Something is sitting exactly where the Apollo astronauts said they left it. In 2009, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographed all 6 Apollo landing sites from lunar orbit. The images, publicly released and independently verified by Arizona State University researchers, show the descent stage landers, the equipment, and the trails of footprints the astronauts left in the lunar soil, still perfectly preserved, because there is no wind on the moon to erase them. Now let's take the conspiracy claims head-on, one by one. The flag waves? The flag had a horizontal rod sewn into the top to keep it extended in vacuum. It couldn't hang limp. When the astronauts rotated the pole to drive it into the soil, it oscillated. But once they let go, it stopped. No air, no continued motion. Exactly what physics predicts in a vacuum. Stars missing from the photos? The cameras were set to expose for a bright, sunlit lunar landscape. Conditions as intense as a clear day on Earth. At those settings, faint stars simply can't register on film. Same reason stars don't appear in your daytime photos. And the Van Allen radiation belts? Astronauts passed through the most intense zone in roughly 30 minutes. Measured doses came to between 1.1 and 7.6 rads, well within survivable limits. James Van Allen himself, the physicist who discovered the belts, publicly stated the mission was perfectly feasible. The man who found the supposed death trap said it was never a death trap. But here's the conspiracy theorists' most reasonable question. Could 400,000 people really keep a secret for over 55 years? In 2016, physicist David Grimes published a peer-reviewed study in PLOS One to answer exactly that. His mathematical model, built on actual historical leak rates of real government conspiracies, found that a secret requiring 400,000 people to stay silent would statistically unravel within 3.7 years. For comparison, the Manhattan Project employed around 130,000 people and began leaking within a few years. The NSA's PRISM surveillance program eventually broke open. Secrets do not scale. The bigger the conspiracy, the faster the collapse. And yet Apollo has held for 55 years, with 0 credible whistleblowers. Not one. And then there's Apollo 13, April 1970. An oxygen tank explodes 2 days into the mission. 3 astronauts nearly die. Mission Control improvises a CO2 scrubber fix using duct tape and a sock, and the whole terrifying ordeal is broadcast live. If NASA were faking moon missions for propaganda, why would they air a catastrophic failure? You stage triumph. You don't stage chaos and near death. Apollo 13 is the fingerprint of something genuinely real going wrong in real time. In fairness, there are real loose threads. NASA recorded over the original high-quality Apollo 11 telemetry tapes in the 1980s during a tape shortage, losing irreplaceable footage through sheer bureaucratic incompetence. Some photographs have unexplained quirks. Some government documents remain classified. These are genuine unknowns. But an unknown is not evidence of a hoax. It's evidence of imperfect humans doing a messy, unprecedented thing. So let's weigh it. In favor of reality, independent Soviet verification from America's most motivated enemy. 382 kilograms of rock, confirmed by scientists across 70 nations, including the Soviets. Laser retroreflectors, still returning signals today from independent observatories. Orbital photographs of all 6 landing sites. Physics explanations for every visual anomaly. A mathematical model showing 400,000 people couldn't keep a secret for 4 years, let alone 55. And a real catastrophic failure in Apollo 13 that no propagandist would ever choose to manufacture. In the fake column, a discredited self-published book by a man who left the company 6 years before the mission, a fictional Hollywood film, and a satirical mockumentary most viewers never realized was satire. Verdict: the probability that the moon landings were faked is, by any honest and rigorous assessment, vanishingly small. Not merely unlikely, effectively impossible at the scale required. The independent corroboration from Cold War adversaries, the physical samples, the working hardware still bouncing laser signals back from the lunar surface, and the mathematical impossibility of 400,000 people staying silent for 55 years. It all points the same way. The moon landings happened, all 6 of them. 12 human beings walked on another world. The only thing more astonishing than doubting it is the fact that they actually pulled it off.